Well, hello everyone. Back at it again. Today we're going to step away from our little tractor toys for a sec. As I stated, everything vehicle-wise here in Vermont, where I relocated, is extremely rusty. I mean, stuff just goes away. We came here, when we moved, we brought 3 vehicles with us. We brought our 2007 Subaru WRX, our 2010 Chevrolet Avalanche, and our 2000 Ford Expedition. All, Western vehicles. They're pristine. The bottoms of the vehicles looks just like the tops of the vehicles. So I was really reluctant to just, drive these cars and essentially ruin them. And then I'd have to replace them at, pretty short time down the road, probably. So what I thought I'd do is I'd been looking around. I tried to find a winter driver, just something that was already here, climatized, rusty, whatever. Buy something inexpensively and drive it for the winter. Put the other trucks away and the other Subaru away. So what I've come up with is, looking around, I actually did find one. I found a 2006 Subaru Outback. It's got almost 200,000 miles on it. It doesn't leak oil. It doesn't overheat. It's not rusty. I don't know. It's originally a Massachusetts vehicle, which is a little bit farther south for me. But typically they always used to rust also. But for whatever reason, whether it be the way that this one's been used or whatever, the car's not rusty. It's actually pretty clean. And it was dirt cheap. The young girl that had it, she was asking $1,500 for it, with 3 stated problems. It had a slow leak in one tire. The airbag warning light would flash on and off intermittently, and there's an axle boot on one of the front CV joints that's torn. So it's like, even then at $1,500, I mean, this is a vehicle that, when I licensed it, I had to pay tax based on a value of $3,200. And typically at retail situations, these are $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 they get for these cars. So it's $1,500. I was pretty leery, So we went and looked at it. It's quite a ways away, about 2 hours away. The car is extremely dirty, especially on the inside. She's a care provider for children, so she drove kids around in it all the time. So it had that kid, have spilled everything on the inside of it, funk to it. And the outside of it, like I say, it was dirty, but it was all there. It's, like I say, it's solid, it's not rusty, and seems to run real well. I got a stack of receipts about like that for service history on the vehicle. A lot of stuff has been done to it. So we bought it. Negotiated her down. We spent $1,300 for the car, and drove it home. Well, we didn't drive it home. I brought it home on the trailer, not licensed. I licensed the car. It's state inspected, no problem. Can't see really an awful lot wrong with it. I spent a day and I cleaned it, and I've driven it around now for 2 days, and it seems fine. But today, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at that airbag warning light. I've done a little research on it, and there's one common issue that apparently these cars have with that this car does seem to exhibit the symptoms of. So we'll take a look at that. But what we're going to do is, I did have it inside, and you notice that one of the beauties of our work table that we built for our tractors is we can just roll it out and roll it back in. And when we roll it out, there's plenty of room in here. I fit my Expedition and my Avalanche in here without an issue. So the Subaru fits in here with no problem. But the one thing that you'll notice, the concrete on my floor is busted up pretty good in a few places, and it looks like people have, you know, capped it and tried to do little repairs to it and whatnot, and it was just all coming apart and everything like that. So I just thought, for an experiment, I didn't want to spend the money to have, you know, somebody come in and repair the concrete, and I'm no concrete guy myself. So what I did is I got some 3/4 ply, put it down on here for a floor, and I've made basically a wood floor, and it works awesome. The table rolls around on it, jacks roll around on it, everything seems fine. It's all level, you know. You're not falling in holes and, you know, have rocks and everything flying all over the place. So far so good. But the one thing I don't want to do, if you notice, it's we got some weather outside, and it's, you know, rainy. It actually snowed yesterday, so today is very rainy outside, and we have a while this morning. This afternoon we're going to go pick up another tractor that I've located, and we'll be bringing that in. And this is essentially designed for that. It's designed for the tractors. I didn't really, I mean, I can get cars in here, but the thought is when I get my garage space next door squared away, that would be where we, you know, do car stuff. We'll just do, you know, other types of projects in here. But for now, I don't think we're going to bring the car in, because I don't want to get my wood wet. That's the one thing I don't want to do. I want to keep it dry. So let's go out and we'll take a look at our car. I'm going to bring along a screwdriver and the Phillips version of no work required. We do have our heat on, so we're ready. Like I say, it is raining out there today, so it's kind of wet and damp. Yeah, so we just, whenever we do want to, because I did have the Subaru inside the other day when I was cleaning it, worked real good. But we just roll our table over here when our tractors, move them around. So I think this here will be a great workspace essentially when I get this squared away. I mean, it's good and wide and long. So okay, so like I say, it is raining today, and of course, you know, leaves are falling. Got all our outside stuff. See, we got our Subaru truck, an Avalanche, and here's our new acquisition. Like I say, it's in pretty good shape. I don't know. It's got snow tires all the way around it. It does have a trailer hitch. It's wired for lights. The inside has a couple of issues, but hey, for the money and for a winter car, I like it. And probably what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll have it sprayed, so maybe we can get some life out of it, and we'll just use this as our, you know, run around car. It's better on gas than my trucks for sure. And you know what, if it starts to rust away, the world has not ended. So anyways, what we got going on with this thing, I'll close the door so I'm not getting rained on. What we got going on this thing is, like I say, it hasn't done it to me since I've had it, but the girl says it does do it intermittently, off and on. And you'll notice when you okay, we've got all our warning lights, one of which over here, our airbag light, which just went out. So technically, as the system checks, it thinks everything's okay. But the one thing that, and like I say, I researched this out, so I'm just looking. But up here, these are where your airbag status lights come on. And this one should be over here for the passenger airbag, and this one should be driver's airbag. And you notice that okay. So our seat belts are not on, that's the red, and you see that the drivers showed on. But the and it would because I'm sitting in the seat. But the passenger does not come on. That should come on and show off. So what they're saying is there's a little circuit board in there that has cold solder joints. So I'm going to take this out, and there's a couple screws here. Nifty sunglass holder. A couple screws here, and these pop out, and I think there's a couple screws under here where these little lights go to. So I'm going to pop that out, disconnect the electrical connectors, and we'll take it inside where it's warm. Okay, so here's our assembly. We've got it out. Like I say, there's, if you look up in there, see the hole right here. And that one, there's 2 screws there, and the other 2 screws. So there's 4 screws to take this out. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our little circuit board that's attached to this pig's heel here out. There's this connector, and there's another wiring connector that goes here that you have to disconnect after you take the screws out. So, set you guys up. So hopefully you can see something. And we'll, not looking at the back of my hand, take that screw out. That screw out. This little cover comes off. Aha! We got 2 more screws on our circuit board. Now, I don't know if you recall, we did a video on repairing the odometer in our Expedition. We got some kind of sticky stuff here. Gotta love sticky stuff. Now, for what I was reading is, let's see, I got something to use for a little pointer. Hopefully that's in focus. Here and here, and I guess here, here. You get cold solder joints that actually have fractured or whatever. And the fix, if life is good, is just go in and just reflow the joint. So, I don't know. We'll give it a try, and we'll see if it amounts to anything. I'll get my little pencil soldering iron out and see what we see. I don't really see much else on it. I suppose it probably wouldn't hurt to do the, I mean, we know some of those bulbs work because we actually saw them function. So, alright, you do that. I'm going to get my little pencil soldering iron warmed up, and I'm going to reflow these things. And basically to do that, all you do is just touch it with a soldering iron, and most times you won't even need any more solder. You just reflow what's there and it corrects it. But if you want to just touch just a tad of very fine solder to them, that's okay too. Just don't go too much and start, crossing things over. So I'm going to do that, and we'll see what we end up with.
That driver data is so important. Marty, and guys, I was going to jump in on the...
Okay, so I use my little soldering iron, not very big, and my real thin solder. And what I did is, the ones we were looking at, put that focus, I reflowed everything.
on that side of the board, except for the little teeny guys there on your right. I did reflow all the others. I touched them all and put just a touch of solder on a couple of them. And I did come over here and I redid those as well, in addition to those little deals there. So in theory, anything that could have been a cold solder joint should be fixed. Like I say, in theory, it seems like sometimes the best laid plans, you know. So let's see if you guys can get there. And I guess we'll just put this back in where it goes. Do this without blocking too much of what you guys can see. And the little cover, it's got the little thing that goes over your wire. So make sure you get that on there. There's a little tab. See the little tab right there that goes in there? It's got to go in that little hole right there. I hope you guys pick that up. Okay? Okay. There's that there. All right. Okay. So let's leave the dry warmth of the shop, and we'll go out and we'll pop this back in and see if we made any difference at all. Okay, so back out in the car, we've got our put back in our screws, and we can put away our extremely fancy sunglasses in our extremely fancy sunglass holder. Get this back in. Okay. One thing I will mention, when you take this off, pop it from this side down. There's on this side, there's like two hooks that go in, so it almost pivot down, and then you can take it out. If you go the other way, you could break those hooks. All right, so let's see. We saw what we had before. Let's hey, look at that. It says this light's on now. That light's on. We didn't have that before. Aha! Start the car. See, that's correct, because there's nobody sitting in the passenger seat. So, in theory, so that did make a difference. We've got those working now. So that's success. It's angry because I haven't fastened my seat belt. But now the interesting thing is, with these lights working, see, we have no airbag fault. That light's over there, and we didn't have one before either. And she said it was intermittent. It would come and go. So anyways, I guess maybe we'll just have to see. Maybe we'll never have to experience that. But either way, we did repair something, so that's good. Everything seems to work, and it says both. Let's try something. You see, it says 2 on the seatbelt thing. So let's buckle this seatbelt and just see. Okay. See, that still says 2. So I guess that's not an indication of anything other than a warning. I mean, it did turn off the angry little buzzer, but that's about it. Cool. Okay. Well, we fixed something.
Well, I guess time will tell whether or not it actually makes a significant difference on anything. Okay, so there you have it. So we've amounted to something today. We fixed a couple little lights. Little stuff like this, it seems to be, it's kind of a common thing with a lot of these cars, that things stop functioning, and it's all because of poor quality solder joints on these circuit boards. Case in point, as we've already done here in video, we repaired the odometer on our Expedition, which has worked okay ever since. We just did those there just by reflowing solder joints. The other thing that I have personally done on several occasions is the square dashboard, the electronic dashboard on the flat dash Corvettes, the C4s from like 84 to 89. They're notorious for that. The sections of the dash just stops working, and you go through and you reflow all the solder joints on the back of it, and then everything functions again. So, I mean, if you have a little soldering iron and you're halfway patient, and you can use it and just go slow and careful, it's a pretty easy repair for the average guy to do. So hopefully this helps somebody. I said there's a number of other videos out doing this exact same thing. This is where I got it. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing now. And, I read up on the forums a little bit. It seems very common. And from what I was reading on there, like if you take the particular car we were just working on, take it to Subaru, it's like a $400 or $500 part replacement that they want to do for that. So I don't know if maybe like the girl that I got the car from, I mean, because there's an axle boot torn on the front. I'm trying to rationalize why she just wanted so little money for this car. Because I haven't seen, unless there's, a big ugly thing that has yet to rear its head, I haven't really seen much of anything wrong with it. But there is an axle boot in the front that is, the boot is torn open and it's leaking. So if you take that and that cost, and I mean, it's back in the day we used to change those boots quite often, and now it's gotten to the point where they don't even change the boots anymore. You just buy an axle, because you can go on to like Rock Auto or eBay, Amazon, any places like that, and you can buy a complete axle shaft assembly for the front of that car for 40 some odd dollars. And for that amount of money, you could have to take it out anyways to change the boot. Why not just put a new axle in? I mean, it's not worth getting your hands greasy for $45, in my opinion, because it's that graphite grease. It's kind of like never sees. It's everywhere by the time you're done. So don't even mess with it. Just put an axle on it. But I wonder if she took her car in, and they looked at that. So now, I mean, say they're buying the part for $50. They're going to want to charge her, $100, $130 or whatever for the part, and they're going to want another, hours labor or whatever. So now you're up to a couple $100. And then if they look at this airbag thing, and they went ahead and they had the same reasoning, they would go to Subaru and get the part, do that. So now all of a sudden you're up to, what, $200. You're up to like a $800 repair, something like that. And maybe that's why, people just say, you know what, I'm just going to price the car accordingly and get rid of it. And and she was, I think, very forthcoming. She'll let me know without a problem. I got this and I got this problem. Even though the airbag light, the red warning light on the dash, was never on for me. But she says it does come on. And maybe it's something completely different and this had nothing to do with it. But, I mean, I don't know. Doesn't matter. But hopefully somebody can get something out of this. It's a pretty easy repair for the do-it-yourself guy with, a little bit of patience and a soldering iron. And a lot of times when you get stuff like this that doesn't work in your car, or you're having a problem, research it out. Because sometimes there's very common things like this that are going on that, as this particular one just demonstrated, are very easy repairs. So you don't always have to spend a lot of money. Sometimes you can spend a few minutes of your time and fix stuff. Anyways, that's it for me today. Like I say, we're going in a little while here. We're going to hook up the trailer, and we're going to Northfield, Vermont. I pick up another tractor with a hydro transmission that's ceased functioning. So we're getting the tractor for hardly anything, so it'll be good. We'll either fix that one or we use parts off it for our other ones, whatever. But for the money and whatever we're going to spend in gas to go get it, it's well worth it. So that's what we're up to today here in the rain and getting a little bit colder. So, okay, that's it. I got nothing else. Starting to ramble. Got to stop. So, thank you for watching and subscribing and commenting and thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs downs don't bother me. You don't like it, put a thumb down. And I would encourage you in the future to just pass me by. But whatever you like to do, it's all good. So until the next time, as always, take it easy.